Yes, team. Welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. It's Friday. It's me and Dean. We're back previewing what is going to be one hell of a game week, I'm sure. Dean, how are you, mate? How have you enjoyed this week? It's been a big week for European football, which you obviously cover a lot for your day job. Some big results.
Yeah, wild Champions League week, and then a couple of Europa League big shocks as well. I say shocks, not a shock that West Ham have lost to Bayer Leverkusen. It is a shock that Liverpool have conceded 3 goals and been beaten at home. And more than that, we're a bit of a shambles. So that's interesting. But yeah, brilliant week of football. And it's all getting very exciting. Thanks for everyone that's jumping in the chat right now. I can see loads of comments coming in. So I'll be going through those while we're chatting as well. We've got a good against the obvious today, which probably coincides, to be honest, with the team news of this week. But hey, we'll get to that in a bit. What's your must-have fixture of the week to be on, mate? What do you think is the game that is like going to bring the goals?
I mean, it's still Man City Luton, but it could be a week where those that are up for a 1 week punt, let's say you're wildcarding in 34, you're wildcarding even in 35, and you're looking at maybe someone for a week or two. You could maybe this week punt a De Bruyne and captain him, a Doku. I think that game, I can't forget, end of February, Haaland scores 5 against Luton. It was like, huge, like arguably that's the last time Haaland was good like that game. So that's huge. I still think Liverpool Palace could be a big one. I know Liverpool were poor on Thursday night, but Liverpool Anfield against Palace, I think they'll bounce back, and it will be the front three we expect. Obviously Salah didn't start last night, Luis Diaz didn't start last night, both were on ASAP. But yeah, you mentioned against the obvious earlier. It is worth noting, stay tuned for that, because arguably the two players we're discussing are two that most sort of tarnish me with, like, as he's such a Janny player. They're definitely both very Janny players.
Yeah.
They're ones I adore. But we're both going to advise you. We're going to advise you on both why not to buy these guys.
We might have to do that before the end of the show. It's going to be hard not to talk about them before that point of the show, not what we normally do it at.
Yeah, I like that. Good shout. Maybe we'll do that in 10 minutes or so. Good to see so many familiar faces in the chat. FPL Chai is with us. FPL Chai is having a storming season. A few red arrows, but still in the top like few hundred. CH and Fabio, Ben, Ryan, Bill, Sexy Beast, Dan. Thank you all for joining. Loads of new faces. Do hit those buttons if you're new around here. Lewis, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. So YouTube has changed its like layout to the point where I cannot see anywhere how many are watching. That is ridiculous, YouTube. Sort it out.
I can see it on mine. I'm not convinced. It says 80 at the moment on mine.
Where does it say it? Where it usually says it?
So my app just works like this, yeah. It says at the top.
Oh, maybe if I'm on mobile.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Maybe if I go mobile. Oh, my mobile's on charge upstairs.
Yeah, maybe. I only really watch this on here while we're doing it. So, but yeah, saying 80 right now. I'm sure that will go up in a minute as people catch up. But yeah, thanks everyone that is in. I see Ryan is up. It's 6 a.m. in Calgary right now. Not as bad as the deadline streams. Yeah, thanks for jumping on whatever time it is for all of you. Yeah, this is a really interesting week, mate. I'm obviously hoping for Haaland to recapture this form. And it's interesting in terms of captaincy because I've got the armband on him, and I just keep glancing across at Salah in my app. I'm just like, I've got trust issues with both, to be honest, which is really annoying. That's the biggest problem.
We've never really said that before. Trust issues with the game's two best players.
Salah and Haaland are playing against Luton and Crystal Palace, both at home. And I don't know that either of them are definitely a good captaincy choice, which is absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, like, captaincy just hasn't been that easy this season. And if you've been jumping around rather than sticking with someone, you've probably missed points along the way. And I'm a bit worried that that's what's going to happen here. I'm going to stick with Haaland because that's where I've gone first and foremost. And if he can't score against Luton, then I give up. But Salah was obviously rested last night, ended up having to come on because Liverpool were playing so badly. Did score, actually, but was disallowed. And it was very close. It's a very close call. Sexy B says, got to go Haaland. Haaland in golden boot, and Man City need the goal difference. Yeah, it does feel like a game where we could see a bit of a haul, doesn't it?
Goal difference is a point. It is worth noting that in the Premier League, if you finish level on points, it doesn't go to. I think in Italy it goes to a playoff. I think some leagues it's different rules in different leagues, but goal difference.
Do you like it? Do you like it going to goal difference, or would you rather they had to have a playoff?
Playoff, mate, would be so good and feels
wild, wouldn't it?
Might be head to head in Italy and then playoff. I can't remember.
Head to head, I think it is. Yeah.
Head to head's cool as well. Actually,
a lot of leagues.
I think head to head is more fair than goal difference. I think
it probably
Let us know
is.
What you think.
It gives you a better scope, doesn't it, of who's the better team? This is a weird one, and I've seen this a little bit, mate. I know you mentioned this before we came on. I'm 1974 says I'm hoping for a Haaland leak.
Yeah, we'll get one, even though they're not the early kickoff.
Are you worried about him not playing?
No, but loads are, and I don't know where this has come from. I'm guessing there's one big name content creator that's put doubt on it, and everyone's gone, "Oh yeah, maybe they're right." Now, Haaland had a rest a couple of weeks ago in the Premier League. Was it the Villa match where Foden scored the hat trick? I think it was. The Real Madrid games are 8 days apart, and this guy, forget rest and rotation. If you could argue he needs it, which I don't think he actually does because he had that rest. This guy needs goals and momentum. And Pep speaks a lot about momentum, and especially for your number nines. He has missed this season, or was it? No, in the last how many weeks? I can't remember what the stat was, but the outcome of the stat was he has missed 11 of his 15 big chances recently. Like he's only scored 4 of his 15 big chances. Like Haaland should be clocking 60, 70% of his big chances. He's on like 10, 20%. That is really bad. He needs to sharpen up in front of goal. What better fixture to do that? Luton at home.
It's got to give him a psychological wedge knowing that he's just absolutely single-handedly killed this team a few weeks ago. Yeah. If you think any time you've played football at any level, if you've played against a team and scored 5 times, the next time that you're playing against them, you're looking at their defenders and you're like laughing at them from kickoff, aren't you? You're like, I'm beasting you. I'm better than you. And that is what I would expect from Haaland here. Poll up right now. Who would you captain for game week 33, Haaland, Salah, or others? So get your votes in. About 100 in on the stream at the moment. So let's get voting on that one. Fabio says, am I crazy going maybe with Palmer?
Yeah, I think you are. Like, I know Palmer's been clocking great returns, but those that went Palmer last week got lucky. It was a sideways pass to Madueke, 30, 40 yards out, and then he went and did the business.
Yeah, I hate assists like that.
Yeah, like that's not really, it's just a pass. But in that game, this is why I didn't go Palmer, because Palmer's brilliant, right? Clearly a great FPL asset and a good captaincy choice most weeks if Haaland and Salah weren't a thing. But in that game against Sheffield United, I think Chelsea clocked 0.44 XG. Like, that is shocking. Like, how are Chelsea not registering more than half an XG against Sheffield United? Like, you do not know what Chelsea turn up. If Chelsea go and lose to Everton, I wouldn't be surprised. And therefore, that's why I don't have confidence captaining a Chelsea player, no matter how good that player is. Yeah. So when you've got Salah and Haaland, or even if you want to go differential, go Diaz or go De Bruyne. Those are the 2 fixtures that we feel like we can bank on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you just go there for me.
Talking of Chelsea, there was team news coming out this morning. Enzo Fernandez and Axel Disasi are out injured for Chelsea, undergoing assessment. Sterling, Sanchez, Colwill, Fofana, James, Lavia, and Kunku Ogochukwu also all out of the game.
This has to be on Poch. This is weird now. This is getting weird. So weird. Like, we're not even playing European football in the week. There's no excuse for it. They get a whole week on the training ground.
It's bizarre.
What's he doing to them?
And they're not even that energetic when they're on it.
Yeah, you don't see the rewards. Like, because the stories from Spurs when he was there, one that was always high amount of injuries, but the players talk about the fact that it was always double sessions and he did work them hard. And I didn't like. He's known for that.
Yeah,
but like, there's not too many games. These players are not getting flogged in terms of games because they're not in Europe.
Honestly, it's absolutely bizarre. And one of the big things I imagine that is going to go into Poch's end of season review, which will dictate whether or not he's staying for next season. Quick couple of questions. Eddie says, who should I get Pickford for? Areola or Aït-Nouré is fit him for Walker? Areola's not going to be playing.
I mean, Pickford's got a nice looking double for save points. Like, I think one of them is Liverpool, but they're both home games in the double.
Yeah,
Pickford's got the most points of all FPL goalkeepers.
Has he really?
Yeah.
Mate, he makes me laugh so much. Dylan was watching some like YouTube compilation the other day, and it was like a goalkeepers one because he suddenly decided he wants to be a goalkeeper. But Pickford starred massively in it, and the reason is it was basically like extrovert goalkeepers doing flamboyant saves and celebrating them. And I was like, obviously, like in adulthood, we don't pay as much attention, or we just roll our eyes when he's like. Pickford was in this video so much, like some of the saves he's making, and like the little gestures towards the crowd, the little winks, the little cheers, the little wind-ups that he does during the match. It did make me laugh, but I can't believe he's actually the top scoring goalkeeper.
I know. It just shows when we pick goalkeepers in FPL, because clean sheets are so hard to predict, actually the best keepers have always been the mid-price 4.5 to 5 million keepers that clock a lot of save points and with that can get bonus. And yes, they'll keep some clean sheets on the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Bernd Leno must be up there, is he?
Yeah, I think he's second or third.
Yeah,
I think Anana might be second, Leno third. Yeah,
I kind of wish I'd just picked like Bernd Leno. Maybe next season I'm just going to pick like a Fulham type goalkeeper. And
world number one's got Leno. Had Leno for a while. World number one. Yeah, I spoke to him in the week. I was surprised he had Leno and was like, yeah, it makes complete sense.
This is the first time all season. Obviously, my goalkeeper picks have been terrible all season, but now I've got Raya in goal. I'm really happy with that. I feel like I'm in a good place with it because I've got him and one centre back, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's the double Arsenal defence taken care of. Yeah. Should we? Should we do teams or should we do against the obvious? What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's move on to against the obvious because it is fun. CH actually said earlier when I said about him being my type of players. CH captured it. She gave 3 names and the 2 of them we're about to hear about. So we'll give you the 2. I'll let you know who the 3rd name was after. The 3rd name is actually a very good buy this week. So yeah, let's crack on with against the obvious, shall we?
Okay, that's good. Here's mine.
No, you haven't.
Of course I have. Start the clock because nobody should be buying Phil Foden this game week. If you've already got him, you've already got him, right? This is the way it goes. But Phil Foden is just not a good pick this week because I don't think he's going to play. I really don't think. I think Phil Foden is now a big game player. And for me, Foden doesn't start this game, Kevin De Bruyne does. That is the way that I'm reading this. He was not dropped for Crystal Palace. He was not angry at being rotated out of that team. If anything, it's a compliment because Pep needs this guy on the pitch in the biggest moments. And that might mean that if they are struggling in this game, then yeah, Foden comes on. I don't think he needs him. Look, Foden scored 9 goals in his last 9 Premier League games. And Luton don't have an away clean sheet this season. So obviously, I'm expecting Man City goals. I just don't think that this is the week to be on Phil Foden. And I'm sorry if you have got him in your team already.
Oh, you're right, mate. You're right. I mean, if he hadn't picked up that knock, though, I'd be fine about Foden minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that's what adds to
wasn't
it.
I
mean,
adds
to it massively.
His face coming off the pitch. I know it was reported being like, oh, it's just a knock, I'll be fine. Firstly, knocks can still leave you out of games 3 days later. But secondly, it was his sort of mannerisms as he comes off the pitch, shaking his head. He didn't look comfortable. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't even make the squad.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think even if he wasn't injured, there would be a chance of him starting this game on the bench. But the fact that he did get that knock, it seemed like a heavy one. Pep Guardiola has said today that he's still to be assessed. That is not the marks of a player that you're going to want to risk in a match against Luton, who, look, they're not a dirty team, but they're certainly going to make sure that you know you're in a game. You know, they're not a soft team, Luton. And they look to make an impact. And they're actually a pretty, for a team that's likely to be relegated, I think they're one of the better teams that have come up and actually given it a proper go. So I'll give a lot of credit to Luton for what they've done this season. And actually, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Luton do score in this game.
Yeah, they usually score.
I have to say, I think De Bruyne, if I was to bring in a City player this week, and I've even thought about it, to be honest, De Bruyne is the one I think I'll be bringing in, which doesn't sound that big a call. But actually, at the moment, it's more risky than it would normally be.
Honestly, if I could get to De Bruyne this week, even if I had the luxury of transfers, like let's say City doubled in 34, I could go and buy Doku. And just go, Doku will play one of the games in 34. Let's do it. The problem is with buying a Doku is he probably doesn't play in 35. if you, oh, sorry, 34 or 5. If you buy De Bruyne, there's a very good chance he still plays in 34, right? So, yeah, I think, Sexy Beast, Andros Townsend, 85th minute clean sheet wipeout. You know it. You know it. So, yeah, look, I'm with you there on Foden. Let's see. As an owner, I'm going to be waiting to see if we get a team leak. Annoyingly for me, I am on Sky Sports News 10:30 to 10:57 tomorrow morning. And if we get team leaks, it's you get a lot of rubbish fake team leaks. So at 10:57, I've got to come off air, get on my phone. That's 10:58, but 10:57 and a half. And then I'm scrolling through Twitter trying to get legit news, and then got to get on the app, make the transfer, lock it in all before the hour mark. It's going to be a stressful 3 minutes.
Surely you've got a trustworthy friend in your circle that will just send you a message. Surely you can tee that one up.
So I've got channel members, some of which are watching, and we've got a WhatsApp group, and they're a really good source of sharing info.
Yeah.
1 or 2 in there are great. And always accurate, but 1 or 2 have been known to share info that they think is accurate and actually is some troll online who might be disguised as another account, stuff we've all fallen for before.
Yeah.
So again, even my WhatsApp needs filtering.
Yeah. Heather says I should message you. I don't think you'd be trusting me in a million years, but there you go. I'm in a tabloid. I worked in tabloid journalism. There's no way anybody's trusting me.
Yeah, you guys do know Dean work for the Mirror, right? Okay, look, Foden's definitely one you err on the side of caution with this week. We will keep you up to date with and answer some questions about Maddison from Mark. British 87 about 8 Nori. We'll get to those players. We'll saving those questions. Don't you worry. The other player CH mentioned, which I love, who we're not talking about against the obvious, is Havertz. Definitely he is not one to avoid this week, but one that is, and I say this with a very heavy heart, it's Darwin Núñez. So look, Darwin started last night. Salah and Diaz didn't. And I saw, let's start that clock. When Darwin started, I was thinking, oh, Darwin starting, does that mean he finally gets a rest? Because Darwin, I can't remember a time ever in a Liverpool shirt where Darwin has had 8 consecutive starts. With the mid fixtures, at some point, he's going to need a rest. And he's not scoring goals. And that's the important thing here. And he continues to miss big chances. So look, there's a chance we see Jota, who is back from injury, start up front. Diaz left, Salah right. There's a chance we even see Gakpo start up front against Palace. Now, sure, Darwin could get the nod because he is coming off a lot at 60, 70. But even if he does start, it will be another early sub, I guarantee it. When you look at Luis Diaz minutes, 7 of the last 10, he's played 90. When you look at Darwin in the last 10, he always comes off with half an hour to go. And with that in mind, I just think if we're investing 7.7 million in a guy that's got double game week next week, we want to know there's 3 starts in 34, 33 and 2 in 34. And I just can't hang my hat on Darwin at the moment. And for that reason, when I look at buying an extra Liverpool attacker, I think I'm going to go Luis Diaz. I think he's one for minutes.
Yeah, Luis Diaz is interesting. I mean, Luis Diaz is actually a really weird topic at the moment. I mean, there are stories about PSG being interested in buying him. Then there's stories about Luis Diaz pushing Liverpool to get a new contract. And both of those things, Liverpool aren't that interested in right now. Like either of those things are their priorities. Like they're going to sell Luis Diaz at a time when Mo Salah might be leaving anyway. And in terms of contract priorities, like there's at least 3 players ahead of Luis Diaz that they need to speak to. So that's a bit weird. And I know he has... I think his representative might have rattled a few people by even starting to try to get going with that conversation. But if he wants to prove that he's worth a new deal, then this is the time of the season to properly deliver. And he can be very special, can't he? What's going on with Jota? What are we seeing here?
Good point, because look, Jota needs to be discussed. The guys that came off the bench last night are the ones that have been injured, are the ones you might consider could get a start or 60 minutes versus Palace, or maybe they get another 30. I was thinking last night as a Bradley owner, if Trent comes off the bench and gets 20, maybe Trent starts this weekend. I can't see a Trent start now because his first appearance is going to be off the bench. Jota's had that. Now, I do wonder if Jota probably gets another 20, 30 minutes off the bench. I think that's more likely. And then come game week 34, you go, okay, Jota's ready to start. And if he scores in game 1 of 34, there's a very good chance he starts in game 2. The routes to the team for Jota, sure, you'd think Klopp wants to play him down the middle, number 9. That could mean Darwin out left, which we saw before the injury. But Diaz was out at the time. So I think the first choice front 3 is going to be Darwin still central or Jota, and then Diaz left, Salah right. But Jota's definitely going to eat into minutes of both Darwin and probably Diaz by default of Darwin being an option down the left.
And he's the most clinical. He's the most trustworthy.
When he gets minutes.
he is the best FPL asset in that front line in terms of being trustworthy. So,
and he's listed as a midfielder, Dean. And we know he's
exactly.
like, Darwin's listed as a forward. Jota's listed as a midfielder at 7.9 million. He's 1.8% owned.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think they've really, you watch Liverpool's games recently and they have lacked just a bit of ruthlessness at time. They've obviously had a great season, Liverpool, but at the moment, they are a bit on the ropes. The Man United result was shaky. Last night was obviously a nightmare. They've gone into games like the Sheffield United one. They had to work hard to get through that. Brighton had them rattled for a while.
Yeah. Man United.
Yeah, Man United twice. So it's like it's just a strange time, and they've just got to make sure they're making the most of their chances. And I think that Jota has been a big miss during this little period, not having his trustworthiness to come into the side. Somebody just messaging Sexy Beast. Mo signed a contract until 2025 recently. Yes, they've got one more year, so that this is the time when they would look to cash in or give him a new deal. It's not decided either way yet, but the Saudis, Al Ittihad, I think it is, are coming with a bid, likely to be in the region of about £70 million. And yeah, it's not as big as last time they came calling, but
he's a year older.
He's a year older. He's close to he's 1 year away from that. You're into a new era now anyway, beyond Jurgen Klopp, new manager. I think there can be arguments made this time for actually taking the money on Salah.
A few more injuries as well. Like Salah has had seasons where he's played every game.
He just hasn't been the same this season. He's still been, worthy and possibly their most important player.
Yeah.
But I don't know I would bank on that for another season.
Yeah.
I think...
Especially the new manager, you just don't know. It feels like a cleaner swipe.
I imagine he'll get a big sale. I mean, look, ultimately, Liverpool aren't going to force Mo Salah out of the club. If he wanted to stay, then I think Liverpool honestly would keep him. But if he shows some interest in this deal at this stage, and look, if he goes to Saudi Arabia, then they're going to put him level on terms of personal terms with the sort of money that Cristiano Ronaldo's getting. It's really, really hard to turn that sort of thing down. Let's see. I'm sure like the way that Liverpool in the season might have some sort of impact on it.
Yeah. Thank you for all your comments in the chat. Thank you for your likes and thank you for your subscribes. Let's just continue the Liverpool chat briefly, Dean, with regards to defence, because there's a lot out there that are looking at the double game week in 34 and going, what 3 Liverpool do I own? And I genuinely think Jota is a really good consideration for me. Like, I'm going to go Luis Diaz this week if Foden is benched, because I don't think I can trust Jota to start this week, and even if he does, he'll only get an hour. Like he came on at 76. He was a 5th sub last night.
Yeah.
If I don't go Diaz this week, because Foden does play, miracle, then I'll go Jota, because I think there's a good chance he'll definitely feature in both games in 34. And as we've just said, he's the best FPL asset when he gets the minutes. But what about defenders? Because we don't expect Trent to start this weekend. So does that mean Bradley does? Because Bradley wasn't given the nod last night. And I get why. Atalanta are a very good attacking team, and Gomez was a little bit safer defensively at right back. That didn't really work out for them. And against Crystal Palace, they don't necessarily need that. Sure, his opponent might be Eze can drift left, but he might have a good opponent there. But I think he'd still go, we're going to have all the ball. It's Crystal Palace. Let's give Bradley one last game. Do you think Bradley starts?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think he probably does. I think he's trustworthy enough. I think if you look at the type of games that you've got coming up, you've got to be careful about what risks you take. And I think this is an ideal one to continue with Bradley. I wouldn't be too concerned about that one.
Okay, good, because I've got flags everywhere and I need Bradley playing.
Yeah. No, I think I've got obviously Bradley as well, and I'm confident that he's going to play this game.
Okay, what about Ait-Nouri if we look at flagged players? Because he's another one. Like, apparently there was some rumours doing the rounds. There's been no pictures of him this week in training, but there's not been many pictures. But there was a picture of him in the gym. It's so tough because he was so good for Wolves. He came off at the 55th minute last week. He was on an assist. He would have got bonus. He could have got a clean sheet. Attacking returns galore. Could have had more. And he comes off with a 4-pointer. He's Wolves' best player at the minute. If they can get him fit, again, they don't have the complication of too many midweek games. He could be in the gym on a Wednesday and still be not training with the team, but still play on a Saturday, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look, I've got this as a dilemma that most people have got probably: Udogie or Ait-Nouri. Right, they're my two. That's basically. I mean, I've got Zabani as well, but
Yeah.
mainly it's Udogie versus Ait-Nouri for this spot and my team. And I think I might go Ait-Nouri in the lineup in hope that he does start,
Yeah.
because if he
He could miss
maybe
out
will come on.
altogether, couldn't he? You'd hope it's either
Yeah,
a
that's
start
the
or a
thing. I
don't make
hope
the
it's
squad.
start or he misses out. So I think that's the gamble that I'm going to take. I don't see massive upside in Newcastle away for Tottenham anyway. I think that they're almost certain to concede in that game.
Yeah.
Of course, he could contribute to a goal going forward, but who knows? Whereas Ait-Nouri at Nottingham Forest, if he starts that game, I've got a lot more confidence in the points actually coming. So in terms of just like valuing this in terms of logic and thinking, right, if both of these players start, which one would I be picking? I'd be picking Ait-Nouri.
Yeah. And in terms of other flagged players, it's worth noting, Richarlison has been ruled out again in the last 10 minutes. Like I think Postecoglou has said, like he's not available. Like it's really unfortunate for those that held. There's a lot that still own Richarlison from when Son was at Asia Cup and they've still got him and he's injured. Gabriel wasn't spotted in training, says Geddy. And I've seen this. A few people say this because Gabriel's so popular. It's worth noting when clubs especially are playing European fixtures, the next day, training, yeah, sure, he may have a minor issue. But players like Gabriel, because he's not been out injured, it's not like, say, Trent's not been in training, so Trent's not ready for the weekend, or Trent's been out for ages. Gabriel doesn't have to train to play on the Saturday. He could train on the Friday, and then he's fine on the Saturday. So missing one session midweek isn't that like...
All he's got to be aware of is what the tactics are for the game, right? And
it's not a fitness thing.
Yeah, I saw De Bruyne talking about this recently. It was like he went through talking about how long he was going through this process of 2 days on, 2 days off, travel game. He's like, and there's no time to actually train because you're recovering or you've got a knock and you're just trying to like stay fit. And so you don't. He said there's been times when I barely actually train properly during a season because there's no time. I would not be concerned. Of course, no training for an Arsenal player means nothing. If they train, you should be worried. Yeah, that's actually not a bad way to look at it for Arsenal.
Yeah. Ledley King never even did training sessions half the time, did he? They'd wheel him out on the Saturday. It's fine. As long as your core fitness is there from the start of the season. Speaking of fitness, Dean, what's going on at Chelsea? Like, because they are doing the travel, the tactics, but then clearly too many training sessions. Poch has got them on some weird rota because it's not like all these players are sick note players. Sure, Reece James and Nkunku, but I think Lavia played every game the season before. Like, and we've not seen him. Like, there's a lot of players getting injured that don't historically get injured at Chelsea.
Maybe they're punishment runs, mate. Maybe on the back of a bad performance, you'll put through it. Like, has been the old-fashioned way of like, right, I'm going to run you until you're crying, sort of thing.
If you don't get more than 0.44 XG against Sheffield United, you've got to do some runs.
I remember it being about 15, 16, and like we were quite a good team, and like we lost for the first time in ages, and like coach didn't say anything after, and he was like, right, come in on Tuesday, I'll talk to you then. And he just ran until you were sick. Maybe that's what Poch does. I don't know. Maybe. It just doesn't make any sense, mate, how Chelsea can have this many players injured throughout a campaign. I mean, there definitely is going to have to be some sort of investigation into how this has possibly happened.
Did you get on the blower to the child helpline?
Just cried to my mum in the car probably afterwards when she picked me up.
Mate, you did play. I don't think we've ever spoken about this on air. You did play academy football, right?
Yeah, it wasn't called academy football at the time.
Not?
It was Centre of Excellence football. Yeah, it was rebranded a few years later. But yeah, and it wasn't the same. It wasn't as good. You see, if I see like 14, 15-year-olds now at Fulham, where I was at that age, they're fully kitted out. They basically look like proper footballers.
Yeah.
Like at the start of the season, we would get like a jumper, and the jumper literally just said Fulham Football Club. It was just a black jumper that said Fulham Football Club. And then you get like a bag. And then the kit was just the first team's old kit.
Was it?
Oh yeah, I'm obviously not big, and like, the kits would swamp me. I'd have to find ways to roll up the sleeve a little bit and like tuck this part of the shirt in and like just make it try to fit me. It was a different world, mate. Yeah, it was very, very different to what they get now.
Yeah, mate. There's a charity match for the FPL community where the North play the South, and I play in the North. Like, you should definitely,
I'm
because
retired.
you're, well, yeah, but also because I don't want you playing for South, because you'll still have something about you, and it's like,
I don't
oh.
know. I don't know.
So I'm not going to put you in contact unless you make a very special request. I don't really want you on the opposition.
I did make it. I can't remember the last 11 aside. I played. It was like a charity game. Stadium was I at? It might have been Stamford Bridge. I remember playing in a game and being like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm going dizzy. I'm like, I can't handle this. Just give me 5 aside. I hit that stage. When I was about 35. I was like, I'm done with 11s. I'm done.
I
Don't
was
need
done
it.
with 11s at 18.
Yeah, I mean, I basically was at a decent level.
There we go. Where should we move on towards should we do our teams early this week? I think we should move towards them, because there's still some big talking points on our teams, and there are lots of press conferences going on at the moment. So we'll be interrupting our flow to report on any sort of press conference news. I think in recent minutes we've heard from the likes of, I think Klopp is due at 1. So Klopp's speaking at the moment. I think Postecoglou's just spoken. We've got Arteta up at the moment, De Zerbi, Iraola, Glasner, Thomas Frank, all currently awaiting their press conferences or speaking at the moment. O'Neill was 1 o'clock. So again, we might get some 8 Nori news there. So Dean will be scouting around, as will I. But let's have a look at our teams for the weekend. Here we go.
All right, Walton Rifles. A few weeks left of these lads, because they will be rebranded next season as the San Diego Rifles.
Yes. And San Diego joining the MLS, aren't they?
They are, yeah. So I think these lads need a bit of sun on their backs, improve morale, because it hasn't been a great season as they languish down at 700k at the moment. But nevertheless, Haaland has got the captain's armband at the moment. That will be staying, and I'll keep Salah on the vice. I don't love Muniz against West Ham, but it's 4.7. West Ham have just had a really difficult European away day. Fulham don't travel well to West Ham, even though it's a very short journey. We just don't do well there. But you never know. I'm probably going to... I have tinkered with the idea of just playing 2 up front and either bringing in one of the subs, but I don't know who I would bring in. Obviously, I've just said I'm bringing 8 Nori into the lineup anyway for Udogie. Garnacho, if that United fixture was at home, I would be sticking Garnacho into the lineup. I don't know about that again. Mark says, will Bournemouth tonk Man United again? I literally don't know. I have no idea. Apparently, Ten Hag is given a very relaxed press conference today. Someone who's at the presser, Jamie Jackson, who works for The Guardian, he tweeted, Eric is very relaxed today. And someone's replied, Eric chill Hag. But yeah, I don't know. I don't trust the bloke. So I have literally no idea what's going to happen in that game. So I might just steer clear of it completely. So yeah, not really a lot to report, mate, as far as team selection is concerned. I'm gonna let it roll on. I don't think I'm making a transfer. If I could afford to get Muniz to like Ivan Toney, I would do that. It's too big a jump, way too big a jump. So yeah, fortunately, this is probably my team.
Nice. I like it. I mean, you could... I don't know. I don't know where I sit with Garnacho. I can't see who I would drop out for Garnacho.
This is the thing. Like, I would like Garnacho. Part of me does want Garnacho in the team. It would be Muniz, if to be honest. Like that's where I'll be going. And
I like that fixture for Solanke though, with the Man United injuries.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bournemouth go win the game. Like, I don't know if I'd be playing Zabani, or I've got Neto and Zabani. But for goals for Bournemouth, I like it.
Yeah.
And 8 Nori for Udogie, I guess, as you say, you mentioned earlier, is a big one. Nice. Okay, there we go. I did just see something from Pep, and one of the journalists, for Sky journalist Ben Ransom, who gets a lot of DMs from FPL accounts. He said, I did try and ask Pep about Foden, but my question was met with vagueness. And it was Pep saying, I would like to tell you, but I didn't speak to the doctors on Phil Foden. After the press conference, we have a meeting. We will see. Well, did he train yesterday, Pep? Like, tell us that at least. But of course, he's not going to tell us that.
No.
Gary O'Neill, by the way, was meant to be speaking at 1 o'clock today. That was like the time, the
Right.
1 p.m. But I've just seen Wolves have tweeted it's 2 p.m. now. So the Aït-Nouri update might be a little bit more accurate with an hour. It's worth noting, Gary O'Neill, from memory, is one of the better managers for actually just telling you how it is. I think he will actually tell us about Aït-Nouri. I don't think it will be too cloudy.
I think that'll be a decent update, actually. Yeah. I mean, look, managers always used to turn up to pressers late, and this is... They don't do it too much anymore, I guess, because Sky show what the schedule is, and they didn't used to do that. There'd be times, I did a lot of Arsene Wenger presses, for example. Mate, you could be sitting there an extra. They say it's a 1 o'clock presser, 2 o'clock. You might still just be sat there, be like,
is that because it's after training, and therefore you don't know how long training is going to be, or
training runs on. Sometimes they go and have lunch. Sometimes they have a meeting before they come in. Sometimes they get briefed on something, and you used to sometimes, honestly, wait forever. Especially players were actually worse. If you had a player interview scheduled, then you'd they say, oh yeah, 1 o'clock or whatever. But if they had training, then they might have a little bit of treatment. Then they'd have a shower. Then they'd get ready. Then they'd go and have lunch. Then they'd chat to their mates. And then they'd stroll in. It'd be like 3:30 or something. And you'd be like, oh my goodness.
Oh, that is annoying. Do you miss that, Dean? Like that, obviously it's a cool job. Like you were at Arsenal press conferences very often, chatting to Wenger, booking in time with players, but it's a day of waiting around and you're on the road and blah, blah, blah. Is that compared to what you do now, which is more home-based stuff?
Yeah. I think it's changing my life. I loved it. I spent a lot of my life though waiting around in car parks, sitting at train stations.
Don't tell your wife, mate.
Mate, the day that Steve McLaren started his job as England manager, I was on a job for Sky, and I was basically doorstepping Steve McLaren. So he goes to England offices, which at the time were in central London. It's his first day in the England job. Right. I'm sent down there. I get there at 7:30 in the morning, make sure I don't miss him getting into work. And mate, this is so annoying. He turned up at about, I'd say 8:30. Walked straight in, didn't stop and talk to anyone. So they got a very brief shot of him going on, and they're like, okay, hang around. I'm sure at the end of his first day, we can get a few words from him. Just happy to be England manager. Mate, I waited until 5 o'clock outside that office. He came out and he wouldn't talk to me. So I just kept following him with the cameraman. And I followed him and followed him and followed him, just saying, can you just give a message to it's your first day as England manager? Not today. Not today.
Oh.
Mate,
you just needed that soundbite. You needed that 5 seconds
soundbite, mate. Yeah. I needed one. Luckily, because Sky get all the footage, they can see I've tried my best. So my job's still done. But no, I don't miss that. No, I don't miss that. I miss having to sit down with I don't know, any of these players that you get some time with, and you sit down and chat to them for 20 minutes. That was fun. Of course it was. But by and large, no.
Yeah,
too much. Yeah.
Mate, we should do a summer show of just some stories from the world of being a reporter, or I think that'd be quite. Yeah. I think you would have some, I don't know, Harry Redknapp or Paul Merson do their let's go sell out a venue and tell some old stories from the past. They reel off the same stories every time. I must be sick of them. You've definitely got some fresh stories that obviously you've never told, but would be really interesting. So chasers, let us know in the chat if that's something you would like to watch. And also, I'm just thinking of the thumbnails and some, 3 or 4 words of McLaren binned me or so, there's definitely some clickbaity clips there that would do well for a summer, which are timeless, because the videos we make on FPL, they're out of date a day or two later, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is timeless. You can watch this years later if you want to, but for the summer, it might be, maybe there's a shout there, just a couple of short, cool stories. I've got some as well, not from being a journalist, because I wasn't, but just from meeting footballers and some funny stories, which I'd happily tell, but never get the opportunity to. So we should do that. We should think about that.
Yeah, it's easier to tell them in hindsight as well, rather than when you're still going into
the
these
payroll
week in week.
Yeah. There we go. Eddie, thanks for bringing us back towards FPL, Eddie. Who to start, Garnacho or Cunha? I'll keep this one brief. I personally would start Garnacho because you know you're getting 90 minutes. Justin says, hello, chaps. And Justin, that's not Gucci, is it? Is that Gucci from Australia? No, it's not. Just looking at the picture. Gucci is one of my channel members
Right.
who's usually watching CGA. Fancy playing either Taylor or Estupiñán from a team this week over Zabani. Look, Estupiñán always gives you upside. Personally, Taylor, I wouldn't go there. But I get why you wouldn't want to go Zabani. So Estupiñán's a good pick. Obviously, we don't know if he'll start, but I think he probably is likely to. Matthew says Foden to Gordon, Darwin to Haaland, or Robson to Burn, given the Foden injury. Dean, which one of these do you prefer? It's a free hit 34, so he needs to buy someone that's doubling in 37, of which Haaland, Gordon, and Burn are all doubling.
Yeah. Who's Man United's double again? I haven't got any Man United.
I think Man United and Newcastle both have I think Newcastle have a stronger double from memory.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'd trust Haaland anyway. Probably would go.
I think I'd go Gordon, mate.
Would you? Would you come off of Foden?
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to come off of Foden, but if Foden's definitely ruled out,
he won't be by then. And like the type of games that City have then got, where it's like
good fixtures.
Brighton away, like that is a good Phil Foden fixture.
Yeah.
I'd be very scared of getting off Foden and going to Gordon. I think Gordon having a decent season. I have to admit, like watching him in person against Fulham last week, I wasn't that impressed with Anthony Gordon.
You don't know.
He didn't have a good game, to be fair. Sometimes I watch Gordon and I think, wow, like I can see now why they actually paid so much money for him. And I watched him in live the other day, and I was like, yeah, not having it. Sorry, that wasn't that helpful. Go for Burn.
Yeah. Would you go Foden Diaz to prep for 34?
Problem is, I don't have a wild card, so I may not be able to get him back. A lot of people considering getting off Foden, but scared of the implications further down the line, is what I think.
I mean, Diaz is great for 35. Foden has Brighton away, but doesn't have a double. And then by 36, you could go back onto Foden. So I think you can make that work with 2 free transfers. Just use one of them on that move. Miguel says, would you sell Saka or Foden this week? Look, it all depends on injuries. And I've seen a few just join the chat and gone, what have I missed? Foden's out. Foden isn't out. We both think he probably will miss out, but of course, as always, there's a chance he plays. We might get a team leak. We might get training ground photos. We might get some embargoed quotes at 10 p.m. tonight. So don't make your decision until in the morning is my recommendation on Phil Foden. Same with Saka. Like Saka left the pitch limping after he tried playing for a penalty. And we know he's nursing something. So what did you make of that, Dean?
It wasn't a penalty.
It was a booking. That's what it was.
It was crazy. Booking for kicking the goalkeeper.
This is my team. I've got a load of dilemmas, mate. If Foden's ruled out, I think I have to sell because that would mean like Zabani coming into my 11. Who might
is
be
not ruled out
already.
though? Like you're obviously not going to know this 100%.
No, but I think we'll get a team leak because Man City aren't the early kickoff, but they are a 3 p.m. and they are probably the team we get the most accurate leaks on. Probably City. Like there's always leaks, legit leaks. So whilst I hate team leaks, it's just part of the game now, unfortunately. And unless FPL move deadlines, it's going to continue to be one, or maybe will continue to be one regardless of deadlines. But some people know, and the clubs aren't happy, and the Premier League aren't happy. Of course, they're not. In a way, I think it spoils the FPL game too. I think it should be a level playing field, not just managers that are engaged at 10:57 on a Saturday morning. But the cards we're dealt, if I hear Foden is benched, if I hear nothing, I might actually start Foden because I think there's a chance if he was out, we would know and therefore we'd hear.
Yeah, he could end up as being a differential if everyone's bottled it on him.
I mean, what a great pick against Luton. Like,
exactly. Yeah, imagine he starts.
Informed player. But if I do sell Foden, it's Havertz or it's Diaz. They both double in 34. There's no doubt about it. The entry point for Diaz is better. It's Palace at home, whilst Havertz has Aston Villa at home, which isn't a bad fixture, but it's not a good one. And then the double, you could argue, I don't know, it's similar. Liverpool and Arsenal both, we want triple up for the doubles. So it'll be Foden out to Havertz or Diaz. Dean, given the choice, which one of those two midfielders, similar price points, would you prefer?
Who was the first one, sorry?
Havertz or Diaz?
Yeah, Havertz.
They both double in 34.
Havertz.
Even though Diaz is the better fixture this week?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think
something I've got some.
Ben would allow me Jota next week if I wanted to,
Oh
for
yeah,
like Son out to Jota, for example.
yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, I think Havertz. Honestly, I keep getting tempted to go there. I'm probably not gonna get there this season, but I think that is the way to go. Michael asked a question, genuine question, but where do these leaks actually come from? Surely you'd be risking your job giving away information, especially how secretive football is. Yeah, it's a dodgy world. It's a dangerous world. But
Yeah.
obviously, the people that are leaking it are just getting it from someone. Like they're not getting it direct from like Guardiola or like a player. Like there's many ways to get a team leak. I've had them in the past, and I've been very grateful to them in the past, but you have to be so careful. And I'll be honest, at one point I had a team leak that was so good and my stories were so nailed on, sometimes I get them wrong on purpose.
Wow, really?
I had to, because I
Because he
couldn't be so bang on like I'd have the team from this place, and sometimes I just had to throw one in.
yeah,
Because
that's
there'd be
crucial.
there would have been like an investigation as to how I was getting it. Yeah.
I mean, there's a chat with the Man City. There's chat with different sources. Like I've heard different stories. Members of the press obviously get access team sheets early, but they only get team sheets 15 minutes before the houred embargo threshold. And FPL moved the deadline from an hour to an hour and a half. So now the leaks aren't coming from journos as they sometimes did in the past. Like in the past, you get journos sending photos of the team sheet in the stand. They're like, "Here's a bit of paper. I've been given it 10 minutes early," type thing.
Yeah,
It's people that work in clubs or friends with players.
Yeah, often when it was journalists that leaked the stories, I'd often like know where they've got it from, because you figure out people's contacts and stuff once you're in the industry, and you get an idea of where they're getting stuff. But these days, because there's so much that comes through Twitter, it's like somebody mentioned FPL Tony a minute ago.
Yeah, he's the main Man City guy at the moment. But
yeah,
yeah,
so I think things like that, like who knows? Like if he's a guy that lives in Manchester and supported Man City all his life,
yeah.
I know it could be anyone, couldn't it? It could be the kit man. It could be any. There's so many people around the club on days of meetings. It could be someone with no real superiority, but someone that is just privileged to information that they've never normally had. Personally, if I was in their position, I'd be way too scared to actually leak that information, because I wouldn't want to lose my job.
That's why
But
they get
that
paid though. They
Oh,
definitely,
yeah.
I mean, some of the FPL accounts, I've got friends in the FPL community that get info from these third parties,
Yeah.
and I've seen their DMs, I've seen screen grabs of people saying, "I work for a bookmaker, and I can see you get accurate Newcastle United team news. I'll pay you $2,000 a month if you feed me every team sheet," because
Yeah.
it changes the bookies' odds.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, I used to have a deal like that with it was a foreign bookmaker, and I used to work at a sports agency, and we were all allocated teams that we covered, and the bookmaker we'd have a quick call at 20 minutes on a Friday, and they would ask us things that we'd seen around training. They would be like, who wasn't training? Who did you notice anyone that wasn't there? Like, was this person playing? Who do you think is on penalties? Like all of these things, like they've got to try and find an edge, haven't they? So, I mean, it's a nice couple of grand to make. I definitely didn't get a couple of grand for that at the time. I can assure you of that. I would have liked that.
I do remember once selling Haaland in FPL. I think it was Haaland, yeah. Or I didn't captain him or something, because I saw the Man City odds massively changed on like the win odds, because Haaland was clearly out, so the odds changed and no one knew, and it was like that's where we got the leak from. It was just literally seeing the bookies' odds change. Why have they changed? Oh, someone like Haaland must be out. And it happened to be the case. But I did see a couple of super chats coming in. I think Off Course sent us a plug
nice.
for likes as always. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Off
lovely. Thank you.
He did say there's over 200 people watching to hit the likes. Maliki is one of my WhatsApp members, one of my ultras. I stole the term ultras from you, by the way, Dean. So I've got squad members and ultras members. Maliki is one of the ultras. He says Foden will start for sure because Pep loves him. Yeah, maybe Maliki. It's just that injury, mate. And it's just that knock. When you see his face coming off at the Bernabeu, I'm not so sure. Big Ed says, I've got 2 free transfers. I want Luis for next game week. As in, that'll be Luis Diaz, I would imagine. I don't think you want Douglas Luiz. Villa don't double. Yeah, but I don't want to lose Son before Newcastle. Yeah, I'd keep Son and just go Luiz next week. And next week, Big Ed, genuinely, it might be Jota. We might see. I don't think Jota starts for Palace, but let's say we get half an hour and he scores. He just looks bright. by 34, we're ready for Jota starts, and he's 7.9 midfielder. Like, Jota is the best pick there if you're looking for a double game week surprise, as John David says. My other transfer, by the way, this week, if it's not around Foden, if we hear negative news on Aït-Nouri, I might have to make a sub because, look, I got Zabani coming in, who's going to concede, sure. And I've got Neto. Do I really want double Bournemouth defence, or is that a transfer? Arguably, I could actually play Taylor over Zabani and just hope that out of nowhere, Burnley clean. Dean, goalkeepers? In fact, can we do a poll? Neto or Dubravka, which goalkeeper would you start? And Dean, I want your take on this. Where would you vote? Because I got it wrong last week. Dubravka got 9 points, and he was on my bench.
Yeah, I'd probably go Neto, to be honest.
Would you?
Yeah.
Tottenham surely score, right?
Tottenham score. I've much more faith in Tottenham scoring than Man United.
I think I do too.
The chance that they both concede, but Bournemouth can cause a shock there. We know that. And Man United can misfire. We know that. So I think Neto's your pick. Let's see.
Surprised. Yeah, I was surprised when Big Man told me he'd go Dubravka, but I'm with you. I've had Neto all week in.
Yeah, the poll is live now. Let's see what the early figures say. 83% Neto at the moment.
Okay. Maybe it's not quite the 50-50 I thought it was. That's great. That's good. Great to know. Thank you guys for voting. Keep doing that. Alan says still have 3C.
3 chips.
Oh, well played, mate. Best option, Salah in the double game week for that. Triple captain.
Triple captain. Triple C.
Yeah. Is it Salah in 34? Well, Salah in 34 we know as 2 away games, but it's a good away. It's Fulham and Everton. Not the best, but not the worst. Or Son in 35. Like Son's double in 35 is Arsenal at home, Chelsea away, but Son does score against big teams. Or Son in 37. Also, don't forget Haaland doubles in 37. Like, I'm going to say, if you don't have other chips in 37 to play, like I'm bench boosting, I would use one of the 37 options, see who's flying at the time. But you've got like Isak might be an option 37, the Man City guys, anyone, if United, Spurs, Chelsea, like you've got good options there. Palmer has a double. So I personally wouldn't be going Salah next week.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sushant, did Son, Morris to Foden, Haaland for -4 earlier this week. Rice is coming in for Foden. Surely no more hits. Rice in for Foden. That's big. No more hits. Don't just leave it. Just you'll deal with it. You'll deal with it. Don't take any more point hits. There's no need. Like you've got a squad for a reason. Can I ask Dean, will he take a dive in the new Craven Cottage swimming pool next week? Can't afford it, mate. Have you seen the prices to get up there? I'm never sure I'll ever get up that high in a stadium in my life. About $2,000. No, unless there's like a press day or something and they invite me down. But that's not on the cards at the moment. I mean, it's a bit tragic that the swimming pool's open before the actual stand. But
priorities, mate.
Yeah, you can't even see the pitch from the swimming pool because they've put a thing around it. So
they missed a trick there.
Massive. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, the gimmick of being able to actually see a Premier League football pitch whilst in a swimming pool.
Imagine being able to watch a goal and celebrate with a bomb into the
pool. Is Alvarez a good 1 week punt? Dean, how do you rank 1 week punts? De Bruyne, Alvarez, Doku.
Oh, that's a good one. De Bruyne. I mean, just say money, no object. De Bruyne, Doku, Alvarez.
Yeah,
I feel like the Alvarez thing's past now. It sounds stupid, but like
I think I'd go Alvarez just above Doku, but yeah, I tell you what, De Bruyne is the only one of the 3 I'd consider captain. Genuinely, if I had De Bruyne in my team this week, I think I'd cap him.
Really?
If I was chasing, I would. Yeah, 100%. Because I feel like De Bruyne is gonna get. There's a chance Haaland comes off early because of Real Madrid, but because De Bruyne had a day off, effectively, like he travelled, he clearly wasn't that ill. I know he was sick in the changing room, but if he was ill, he wouldn't have been sat on the bench with the rest of the squad contaminating them. So it's not been it's not viral. You would expect. I don't know. Maybe he had food poisoning. So yeah. De Bruyne for me. Another super chat from Sigurd. We can't see your comment, Sigurd. I don't know if
I think he's just giving us money. I don't think he's just done like a number 1. It's got like in the
it's gold, app, not blue.
it's like gold, and then we've got like a number 1 with some balloons and some sparkles.
Is it his birthday?
Is it his birthday? Is it our birthday? Is it something's birthday? I don't know what this is.
Is it a charity?
Drop us another message, mate. Oh, it says celebrate the first super chat from Sigurd. Oh, okay. So he gets the balloons and stuff because it's his first super chat. Well, this is a big moment. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Let us know, Sigurd.
Yeah, very kind. And that's Icelandic krona we've been given there, mate. Which is definitely the first time I've ever had a gift of Icelandic krona. So that is very generous and very kind. Thank you.
Yeah. John says my knees for Fofana. I don't think I'll be buying a Burnley forward. I keep my knees. Enzo says Garnacho or Havertz. I think we both go Havertz, wouldn't we do? Excuse me.
Yeah, definitely Havertz. Yeah.
Fruit plug. Would you rather start Ait-Nouri or Van Heck? Start Ait-Nouri for the upside.
Yep.
He might not play.
Yeah, and if he does, we're going to have it off and get some points that other people have been scared to go for. Yeah, that's about it, mate.
Yeah, I think so. Sigurd, if you've got a question, and we are looking in the chat, I can see you said Rodrigo a few times. Not sure what that's in relation to. If you're asking about Rodrigo, as in Man City's DM, who hasn't been that DM this season, he has said he needs a rest. I don't know if Pep, I guess that is the game. Pep maybe gives him one and plays, I don't know, Kovacic in that role. They surely can rest him in that one, can't they, Dean?
I don't know, mate. I mean,
they haven't won a game without him, have they, all season or something?
The only time that this team lose is when he ain't on the pitch. Like that. What was the last game he lost? Something like when they lost to Tottenham, I think it was like 2 years ago or something.
But it's Luton.
I don't know, mate. If Rodri ain't there, they fall apart. That's all I know.
I know,
that's
the
facts. That's the facts.
Hey, Dean, one very quick one for you, just because Chai's asked, and it's non-FPL. Dean, any update on Nico Williams? Because as a Chelsea fan who have semi been linked, but Spurs as well, like Chai's a Spurs fan. But what do you reckon? Like now, is he likely to leave this summer? And if so, where's most likely?
Yeah, I think he's open to it. £42 million. I think he's a great deal. Yeah, Nico Williams is so fun to watch. Where's he going to go? Don't know. Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool. They all like him. Man United have half an eye, but I don't think they'll get him. We're going to have to wait to see. Nobody's actually made enough progress with it to know clearly. But Chai, I'll make sure that I keep you up to date on that because it's one of the ones that I'm definitely following closely.
There we go. I forgot about Challenge, mate. I'm not surprised I forgot about Challenge. It's not the sexiest of weeks. It's not the sexiest of weeks. There'll be a few that have turned off to it this week, if I'm completely honest. I do think there's good rules and versions of the game for future weeks planned. But this week, for me, just wasn't one that necessarily whet the appetite. It's extra minus points for yellow and red cards. So effectively ignore the rule this week and just pick a free hit team, which is what you do most weeks. You pick a free hit team with a really cool rule like double points for attackers or double points for Man United, whatever. This week's not necessarily the one. So look, I still am excited over my team because I've got 5 Man City. I've gone big on Liverpool and a scattering of others. Yeah, let us know in the comments to this video your ideas for FPL challenge rule changes. Don't put anything in the live chat because we're about to say goodbye and we won't therefore see it. But in the comments to this video, drop a comment with what rule you would put for FPL challenge. Because look, the Premier League are watching and they need ideas for next season. Hopefully ones for me that will be stronger than the yellow and red card thing. I can think of some really cool ones. So yeah, let us know in the chat.
They're fun meetings. They should have some fun meetings around these topics. I'm surprised this one passed, I have to say.
Yeah, by week 4 as well. Like way too
feels like season 4 you might drop to this one, but never mind.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, Dean and I are gonna be back on Monday, normal time, I think 1 o'clock-ish. And then I'll be back with Big Man Backer on Tuesday. There are so many reasons to subscribe. Hit those buttons and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.